Hi, this is Anshul, and I'm going to show you exactly how to calculate the sum of the maximum of the sub array. So let's start with this example over here. Let me define my include first. Let's say I include IOStream because we want to see what is going to be the outcome of our program, and I will say int main. Okay, and let's I don't understand why it has so many braces. Okay, and this is my main function, and let's define a vector over here. So I will say std : vector. Okay, so I will have to include vector. So I will say hash include vector, and then so this is going to be a vector of integers, and let's call it ARR and assign some values. So let's say we have 1, 2, then 3, then -4, then let's say 5, then 6, then let's say -1. Okay, so this is my array, and the idea is to calculate the maximum of the sub array. So for example, 1 plus 2 plus 3. Now this value is negative over here, so let's see 3, 4, 5, and we have 6 over here. And as I move forward, this -4 is going to subtract, so it is going to give us 2, and then we have 5 and 6 and -1. So 2 plus 5 is 6, 7, right? And 7 plus 6 is going to give us 13. Okay, and -1 is going to take us down by 1, so that is not going to give us the maximum of the sub array, right? So my maximum sub array is going to be, in this case, 13, because if I add up 5 and 6, it actually gives me 11. Okay, so that's so 13 is going to be my maximum. If these two numbers are actually more, for example, based on whatever numbers that we have over here, these numbers might be different, so our max array can actually change based on these numbers over here as well. Okay, so yeah, so that's how it is going to be. And now we are going to pass this array to let's see a function which is going to be max of sub array, and let's say max sum of sub array, which is more accurate because max can be anything, right? Yeah, so max of sub array, and then let's say this will be std : vector of integers, and we'll pass this array by reference. Okay, and now I will add my logic over here. So let's declare a max variable which is set to 0, and I will have a for loop which will run across the entire array. Now in this case, I'm going to show you two solutions. One of these solutions is going to take O of n square time, which is this one, the one that I'm writing at this point, and the second solution is going to take O of n time. Okay, so that is going to be the time complexity. So I have integer I equal to 0, I is less than array.size, and I will say I plus plus, and then I will have another for loop over here which will loop through the internal member. So let's say j, which is going to be assigned by I. Okay, now the reason we want to assign j with I is because I don't want to go back, so I don't want to again sum the entire array. I just want to start from where my I is pointing to. So for example, if my I was pointing to 1, then I want to find out the sum of all the numbers over here. And if my I is pointing to 2, then I want to find the sum of all the numbers over here, right? So it kind of it scans across all the numbers and gives us the total. And j is going to be less than array.size, okay, and j plus plus. And let's say I will have another sum variable over here, which will be equal to array I, not array I, sorry, array j, okay. And I have already declared a max variable, so my max is going to be equal to std double colon max. Okay, so I did not include algorithm, so let's include that. Okay, and now I will have max, which will be max of the maximum value which we have defined, and the sum. Okay, so I want to define my sum, and I want to define it in such a way that it's reset every time I come into this loop. So I will actually define it over here, and I will sum is assigned by 0. So I want to reset my sum every time I get into this internal loop. Okay, otherwise it will take the previous value of my sum and it will assign it, it will keep on adding it up over here, and we don't want that. So I will reset my sum over here, and yeah, I think we are good, and I will actually return max value. Alright, so this looks good. And we need to print the return value. So let's say I will actually have another variable called as max, which is equal to the max sum. I actually like to use autocomplete, which is so much more easier. So yeah, there we have it. And I will say cstd double colon c out. I'll print my value max. So let's say max of the sub array is max, right? And then I will say std double colon and l. Alright, so this looks good, and we will say return 0. In this case, we are not really concerned about the return value from main at this specific point, so we are just returning 0 in this case. And I'm going to build this up. Alright, so we have a signed unsigned mismatch, and you should ideally try to remove all the compiler warnings. So the reason we have the signed unsigned mismatch is right over here. Array.size is going to return the value which is going to be of type unsigned integer, and for that to work correctly, I will say unsigned integer, and then I will say unsigned integer. Okay, and this should take care of it. Alright, so we have the right value, and now we want to compile this. So now we want to compile. We have already compiled it, and we want to see if it is giving us the right solution or not. So I'm going to go inside my directory where I have stored this. So it's source repository, and I have sum of sub array, and I have a folder called debug, so I'm going to go into this, and I don't have to say dir. I know the name is going to be equal to the same as the name of my directory, so I execute this, and let's wait for it. There we have it, right? So the maximum of the sub array is 13. Now this solution does take some time. It's O of n squared, so since we have 2 for loops, now there is a more efficient way of solving the same problem, and it can be done in one single loop. Okay, so I'm going to show that right now, and let's say, so I'm going to remove this for loop from here, and I will take out my sum. Okay, well, let's say I will actually have my sum over here, which is equal to 0, and there we have it. We have the code perfectly indented so that it is readable, and j is assigned by I. No, that is not the case anymore, and now we are just going to loop through each element over here. Okay, and this is actually going to be a much more simpler solution, and the way this works is, let's say, so now we are calculating the sum, and now at each stage we already know what the max value is, right? So so I will actually say something like this: sum is assigned by, it will be max of array j and array j plus sum. Alright, so this is going to be my solution. I hope this should work. So I have array j in here and array j plus sum, and so essentially what we are doing in this loop is, let's so let's have a dry run for the first loop. So for j is equal to 0, I will say array j, right? So I have 1. Alright, so I will actually write it down over here. So my first value is my array j is going to be equal to 1 at first, and my sum is going to be, sum is set to 0, right, initially. So when we execute this line, it's going to be array j plus the sum. So my sum is going to be, in this case, 1. Alright, so that's going to be the value which will be assigned to sum. Okay, so sum will be equal to 1, and then my max is going to be equal to max of the max comma sum, which is going to be 0 and 1. So in this case it is going to be 1. So this is the first case. Now as my pointer moves to the next number, which is the next index, which is array 1, so we will actually have array 1 over here, and array 1 is going to be equal to 2. Alright, let me just do it like this. So this is going to be 2, and my sum now is going to be equal to the current value, which is so let me write this clearly so that there is no confusion, and my sum is going to be equal to 1 and sum of the existing sum, which is oh sorry, so this is going to be 2 over here. because we have array 1 is equal to 2 and then 2 plus 1, right? So this will give me 3. Okay, so this is how I will actually kind of find the maximum sum in this specific subarray, and this will give me a faster solution. So let's go ahead and build this. And I will execute this again. Okay, so there you have it. We get the maximum sum of the subarray as 13. Alright, so that's good. So I think that's what I had. This actually works pretty well, and it's in a single for loop right now and works for us in O of n time. So much more faster as compared to the earlier solution that we had. I hope this actually helped you in understanding how we can actually minimize the number of loops and do the same thing as we did earlier. Alright, thank you so much and have a nice day. Bye bye.